Om Shanti, everyone. Let me unmute you. Just a moment. Okay, you can
Om
unmute
Om
yourself.
Shanti.
Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om
Om
Shanti.
Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om
Om Shanti
Shanti.
Didi.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinamren.
So
Om
we are
Shanti.
welcome everyone. We're getting a lot of people joining this class today.
Yeah.
Considering it is such a famous topic, right? I think it's no longer a topic for just young adults, but I think it's just everyone, whether they are 1-year-old, 2-year-old, or 90-year-old. I think it's a topic that really pertains to everyone. So welcome today, and I think before I continue, we will do a short meditation, and then we will invite our speakers, our two beautiful speakers. And when I invite them, you will know. I'll explain to you later after our meditation. Okay. So let me mute all of you again, and then we'll head into our meditation, and then we can have our class. Okay. So you can sit back now. So let me sit comfortably. And just for a few moments, let's take 2 deep breaths in and let out. And as you let out your breath, just let go anything that you're holding at this moment within. Let go your stress, your anxiousness, or your tiredness. So again, another deep breath in and a deep breath out. Now this body is calm, relaxed. And now let me bring my mind into focus. And let me ask myself this question. Why am I attending this session today? What is it that I am seeking? Is there any habits within me that I am not so proud of, that I wish to understand about this habit so I can work on how to let it go? And I also know in order to let go of this habit, I need to have a lot of willpower I need to know the techniques. And most of all, I need to have a lot of acceptance. Acceptance of me just the way I am right now is the first step to face anything. Do I have that willpower within me to do what is required to face this habit? Am I willing to do whatever it takes to become better? If I am, then even God is ready to support me. And God is going to show me the way today. Every answers that I will receive today is a response that I'm receiving from God. I am ready now to fully concentrate on what God has to say to me in this class. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Welcome, everyone, to today's class. I'm sure in the last class, when we spoke about addiction, was it informative for you? Was it very useful for you? Is it?
Yes, it was informative.
So then you'll enjoy this class as well. This is also equally an informative class. So I'm going to invite our sweet brother and sister. Okay. So this was the surprise that I told you. Last week you saw them together. Now you are seeing them in two windows, in two different cameras. Our brother here, Shwetang Pai, he's actually at work. So, but he still took the time out for us to be with us amidst of his hospital duties. And Kanishta Ben, also, thank you for being present. So I'm going to hand over to you. Actually, I have, there was some souls, they reached out to me yesterday. And, as we were just talking, they were referring to the class, that we had last week about addiction. And they were telling me that, I don't have any other addiction. I'm not addicted to food or drugs. I'm only addicted to my phone, which is kind of safe. I don't have really other problems. Well, if we really see, in many ways, we all can be addicted to many different things. If a person who's addicted to drug is addicted to substance, then for us, that same substance can be a phone, can be social media, can be any form of entertainment. And really the whole idea of addiction is that when any activity, any habit takes over my willpower, surpasses any other duties and responsibilities that I have to do. That is what we call addiction, and it can be any form. So today I'm gonna ask both of these souls all about addiction to devices and addiction to social media. And also just wanted to let you know that we are live streaming this event in YouTube. So that's how we did last week. So if you have any questions, you're most welcome to ask later, or you can type. So Kanishta Ben, Shwetan Pai, welcome.
Thank you very much. Vinu Ben, yeah, it's a pleasure to join again. The love that we found, yeah, in the interaction actually, and when we were answering people's questions, the interactions that we were having with them was really beautiful. And so it's a joy, it's an honor to be with all of you again. And I think the best thing would be to start off with where we left it off last week. Yeah, so Kanishta, would you like to take us into that part? And then we can build on that in this session.
Yeah, it's a joy and pleasure to be with all of you again. And if you remember last time, we had talked about the cause of addiction, the main cause of addiction. Even though we talked a little bit about the substance abuse, today we are talking about addiction to different devices, gadgets. But, you know, if we think about it, any type of addiction, the causes we talked about last time is inner emptiness. Some or the other kind of void is there inside, some inadequacy. That's what pulls the souls towards these addictions. And the reason being, because people are nowadays, they are becoming so materialistic. They are pulled towards the physicality. And we had talked about that in the physical world, there are so many limitations and temporariness. So what people are looking for is that permanency. And that can be achieved only when we really go within and connect with the being that we are. Only when we connect with the being, the soul, the life energy, the life force, we will be able to access that we all are looking for. So it's very important to go into that inner silent space where everything is fully accessible to us. So that's where actually the problem is, the lack of awareness. People who are addicted, they are not aware of who they are. So if they are aware that they are souls, they are beings, and everything is within, they start to connect with the real self, the true self, then it's easy to fill the self and feel full. And also we had talked about the connection with the divine energy, the divine that is like an ocean. So if we connect with that ocean, then there won't be that kind of empty feeling. We will always be full because God, divine, is the ultimate source of everything. Ultimate source of peace, love, happiness. These are the things actually we all are looking for. Especially those who are addicted, actually they are also looking for these things. When they are not able to access these, they go out and they try to get from the outside sources. We talked about dopamine also, that they try to feel a little bit of pleasure by taking drugs that causes release of these chemicals, dopamine. And then when they start to feel happy a little bit, they become addicted to those things.
So Kanishtaben, I actually have a question for you. So, when if you see social media, if you see whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, any form of social media, any form of technology, it is also designed to get people addicted to them, right? Because it's very profit oriented. They want people to get hooked up to it because that's how they are actually earning their money, right? And then on the other side, the viewers, us who are getting in the influence, is it that one of the reason why we could be influenced by their profitable technique, is it because that there is some form of anxiety and weakness within me? Like, for instance, people who are addicted to, say, Facebook, right? Example, they like to post, they like to get messages, they like to see the number of likes, they like to make a lot of friends. And it seems as if, if you have a lot of friends, then you're quite popular. Or if you do a lot of posts, then you get a lot of likes. And that seems sort of like a boost, for someone. Example, if I'm not so great in my social skills, not so great with socializing with people, then I would probably turn to social media to sort of make me feel, I'm quite popular on the internet, right? So I can also be influenced by the company's technique of getting me addicted. What do you think about this?
Yeah, that is so true. And again, there is some kind of inadequacy inside, especially because of the lack of self-esteem, low self-esteem. That's why they want to get something from these sources. They want popularity, they want their name, they want to see how many likes they got. Because there is, this low self-esteem, they want to be respected, they want to be, they want themselves to become popular. So that's why they're looking for these sources. So it's very important, first of all, it's very important for them to see how long that feeling is lasting for them, because it's very temporary, like I said before. All these things that they're looking for in the outside world, they are very temporary. So for the time being, when they look at, okay, I got so many likes, they will feel good about it. But what afterwards? They will again come back to the same, right? Same state of mind.
Yeah, the other aspect of our being stuck in the physicality of our existence is that there's limitedness, there's temporariness, but also unreliability. So today I'm getting likes, tomorrow I can get dislikes too. And so you can never be sure. One day is good, one day is not good. That takes us through the swings that we go through in life. And so I liked what you said about this, the being, we are the being. Actually, again, going back to that word, human being, we are all really stuck in the human aspect, which is not bad. I mean, I'm not saying, we're not animals, we're humans, really. But still, when we think of ourselves as human, we still get stuck in the limited aspect of being a human. There's this phrase or the saying that to err is human and to forgive is divine. So as long as we see ourselves as human but not divine, we cannot go beyond the humanness of, say, making errors, being inadequate, doing wrong things as needed, or as things around us influence us, and so on and so forth. So truly to understand that we are more than human, we are the beings, the divine beings, the life forces that are pure, perfect, whole, complete. We are already liked by God. We're already loved by God. We're already respected and accepted unconditionally, totally, fully by God Himself. And so if I am liked by God, I will begin to like myself. And if I begin to like myself, I'll have that sense of fullness. I won't need other people to like me, or I won't depend on other people's likes to feel good.
So Shwetang Bhai, I have another question for you. Since you're all about brain, we sort of established that understanding that you love about brain and neuronal pathways. I just recently, I was just reading some findings and research, and what it really showed that there was a correlation between sugar consumption and addiction. And it was amazing enough that the recent statistics showed that there was, just in America, there's about, 79 to 80% of sugar addiction, and how that actually led to, in the brain where there's attention deficit, it has that resulting effect. And then that attention deficit is probably could be one of the reason why, you know we are not able to probably sit still. We need to be engaged in something. We are always fidgeting. Example, if we are sitting waiting for the bus or just sitting in a queue or waiting in line, we're constantly, okay, I need to distract myself. Let me get something. I can easily get bored. So then that's how I get hooked up to devices. So do you feel that that is true? That sugar also can play a role?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. But see, in a way to understand that all of these addictions work together, they are not mutually exclusive of each other. They all work hand in hand against us. So, truly speaking, on one hand, we can say we are like, I liked how you said, even our cell phones, our gadgets, our substances. So everything that we have around us that is kind of pulling us to all of these things, they work in tandem, they work together. And so sugar also helps in the addiction to others, and other things also help in the addiction to sugar itself. I'll just tell you, that's why what I and Kanishta have been talking about in the previous session in this is working at the root cause. And the root cause is that emptiness, and I'll share with you my personal experience. So many times at work, things can be busy, there could be many meetings, and at the end of the day you feel drained, despite the fact that I have a 20-year-old practice of meditating early in the morning, grounding myself. But yet when I go to work, I would find that energy gets drained after 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 hours of work. And then I would come back home, and Kanishta has on the kitchen island all these wonderful fruits, all these beautiful colored fruits, oranges and apples and kiwis and bananas. But somehow my eyes would not go there. My eyes would go towards my coffee. Yeah. And Kanisha would keep saying, why drinking coffee at 7 p.m.? But there's this craving, for coffee, or for something sweet, something
Or sometimes
salty,
ice cream, sometimes.
or ice cream. I bypass that island, which is so obvious. The fruits there, so all of that is, the basket is so obvious. I go to the fridge and take out ice cream. And so you see, when there is emptiness that has gotten created, then you have to fill it with something. And so that's why we go out to search for it. Normally, I don't think anyone gets addicted to healthy things. That's one thing I always say, that how do you know what is healthy for you and what's not? Is that you'll know that you can't be addicted to it. So for example, you've never, I'm sure no one on this planet Earth is ever addicted to kale. or to collard greens, or to spinach, right? Or to apples. No, we just don't, because these are the real healthy stuff. All of the rest of the things, the salt, the sugar, the oil, the fast food, all of these, why? Because they stimulate the senses. In Facebook, it stimulates the senses. There is so much inner emptiness that this external stimulation is what the soul seeks to make it feel full. This is easier to get than this. And so, because of the easiness, we always want to use the path of least resistance, the easier path. I don't know whether you remember, there is this beautiful poem by Robert Frost, yeah, The Path Less Chosen. I don't know, some people may have heard or read that poem, but really we don't take the path less chosen. We take the path most chosen because that's familiar. Again, we don't like to go into the unknown because there's fear of the unknown. And going within and seeking the answers from within is an unknown territory, which we don't want to. And so we like to go in the unknown, and that's where we get stuck. But the unknown, like Kanishta was describing, it's so beautiful. Understanding truly who you are, the fullness, the completeness of the soul that you are, and then you're connected to the highest source and receiving all the fullness that you want from the Supreme. Yeah.
So, Kanishtaben, there's another question for you. If you see in terms of texting, right? These days, emoticons are so famous, right? Words that probably, if somebody's asking you how you are feeling, you probably need to write a whole entire sentence. Whereas if there's an emoticon, you can just, put an emoticon and the other person will get it, what you're feeling, right? So it seems as if that if I'm unable to express my feelings in words, or maybe I'm not even sure if the other person will understand what I'm saying. Maybe they can even misunderstand what I'm sharing. But it seems so easy to just phrase it all in pictures, in a picture format, in face. So so in that sense, people can choose messages, texting more than speaking, right? People can rely entirely, like, it could be a family sitting at home and some are upstairs and downstairs, and they could be just texting each other while being in the same house, right?
Yeah,
So
sometimes
then,
across the room too,
yeah, that happens because we feel like a picture speaks louder than words. So then how do we tackle this aspect of communication?
Yeah, there is so much lack of communication because of texting. And also, because nowadays they're using this new term, text neck. People have problems of their necks because they're all the time like this, texting, right? So there is definitely this problem. And it's important for actually everyone to realize that human connection is very important. And texting will not give that kind of effect that live experience, that live connection can give. And this is the reason in today's world we are seeing that there are so many conflicts in relationships. And the main cause is because of, sometimes because of texting, there is miscommunication. People are not able to understand what the other person is trying to convey. So the message, the true message, does not go through. So this is very important to realize that, if possible, just pick up the phone, at least pick up the phone and talk to the person instead of texting. At least if you are not able to have connection, in person, it's important to call and, talk to the person so that the understanding is better. Two people are able to communicate very well.
Yeah, I really like what you said about the human connection. Actually, the relationship aspect is what is the core of our human existence, if you will. We can enjoy peace. That's what we have realized, that we can enjoy peace and solitude, but we cannot really experience happiness unless we are connected to others, unless we get into relationships with others. And so we say that man is a social animal, but we are so afraid nowadays to create relationships with people around us. There's fear because there'll be heard, there'll be sometimes feeling that I'll be rejected and so on and so forth. So again, what is the reason for that is because we are not able to create a good relationship with the self. And we are not able to therefore create a good relationship with God, and vice versa. So both work hand in hand. So if I can't create a good living relationship with God, I can't create a relationship with the self. And if both of these are missing, I really won't be able to create a healthy relationship with people around me. Then I'll have to use these emoticons to kind of mask my feelings and to create these pseudo relationships with people. Yeah, what do you think? Do you agree? The relationship aspect.
Yeah, and also people are not able to actually feel what the other person is feeling. Only when you hear the voice of the person, you can say that, oh, this is the feeling that is coming. The concept of mirror neurons, actually, where they are saying that if you are not seeing the person in person, depending too much on these gadgets, then the mirror neurons, these are the specialized types of nerve cells in the brain, they get stimulated. And when they get stimulated, then the connection, this human connection, it actually strengthens the feeling of empathy, the feeling of, goodness,
Love and
love and
compassion, yeah.
compassion, all these
Respect.
feelings. Yeah, these feelings will emerge only when these neurons, they get stimulated. But
But
if
don't you think,
we are
Kanisha,
just texting,
I
yeah.
really like the fact that that you're talking about mirror neurons, but I was just thinking both of you can answer that, but that really speaking, I cannot have respect for others until I have respect for myself. I cannot have compassion for others until I have compassion for myself. And that can only be cultivated through our relationship with the highest source of energy, God Himself. And then I was thinking, would one of you want to talk about that as well?
So even the aspect of God, I mean, now more so than before, spirituality or these aspect of more in connection with the higher source. It's coming, it's becoming a trend now. But I think it's probably becoming a trend maybe in souls in a little elder senior age, but for a younger generation, I think they're still stuck with the trend of the world, with how the world is going, fashion, and for them to, they are already hooked up in a very fast paced life. So how to encourage such souls? What are the techniques that we can give, or how to encourage them? Basically, I think a lot of parents also facing these issues, but also parents themselves are facing these issues of addiction. So then how do you introduce spirituality? How do you introduce meditation? Because oftentimes people say, oh, you need to have a discipline, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I think even the fact of discipline will probably last somewhat, right? I shouldn't do this,
Yeah.
I shouldn't do this. It wouldn't have that longer effect, because I think I'm probably suppressing myself. But then what will be a best way where I can continue this effort? And doing that is also gonna help me overcome the addiction.
Yeah, yeah. See, discipline is needed. There's an external forced discipline and an internal discipline. So, yeah, for sure that forced discipline doesn't work, but yes, some degree of inner discipline is needed. Like you go to work, you wake up in the morning, you take a shower, and you reach work, right? I mean, there is certain discipline that you have to have, otherwise you'll be kicked out of work. I mean, that's the truth of life. It's a certain discipline you have to create, you have to cultivate. This is this is part of our existence, and if we want to make any meaningful use of our lives, we have to bring some discipline. But before we go into that a little bit, I think this is a real good thing. But I just was hoping if Kanishta wants to say something about this relationship with God for the fullness. We have a couple of minutes. Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah. So, like I said before, we see God as an ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, in Brahma Kumaris and Raj Yoga meditation,
Yeah.
we kind of look at and we kind of work towards that understanding of seeing God as an ocean, right? Is that what you're trying to say, Kanishka?
Yeah. So in Raj Yoga meditation practice, this is a beautiful experience that we get when we connect to God, because the understanding that we get is that God is the source of everything, whatever we are looking for in our lives. God is the ultimate source of energy, ocean of peace, ocean of love, ocean of light, ocean of happiness. And this is what everyone is looking for: peace, love, and happiness. So when we make conscious effort every single day, just take out a little bit of time and make this conscious effort of connecting to that ocean. Just like people, how people feel, how all of you feel when you go close to the ocean. It is so relaxing. Yeah. It feels so refreshing. But it's not possible to go to the ocean every day. But here, in the practice of Raj Yoga meditation, you don't even have to go anywhere. You just have to sit at one place, or maybe even you can walk and move around, and you can experience the same kind of effect, even much, much better than what we experience when we go close to the physical ocean. And the fullness that you get at that moment is amazing. It's very important to experience that. The thing is that why people are drawn more towards the outside world, they are pulled towards all these Instagrams and Facebook and all these things, because they have not tasted this experience. They have tasted that experience, but they have not tasted this experience. And this is the reason they are more and more drawn towards the outside world. And this experience, actually, you need courage to go within, to go into that space of silence. But you take one step of courage. You just have to take one step of courage, and you will be able to experience a lot of help you will get from God. So
yeah,
just
it's a very rewarding. It's a very rewarding process. It's very rewarding.
It takes a little bit of effort, courage, but really it's beautiful experience. Once you walk towards this path and you start to experience, then the fullness that you will experience, then you will not feel like going out and getting something from the outside.
Yeah, that very well answers what Vinu Ben was saying. That people don't want to come off what they are doing, the rush of all of those things. But I want to take this moment to remind us, all of us, about the definition of insanity that Albert Einstein gave, right? Does anyone know? What did he say about insanity? How do we define insanity? You're doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. Yeah, see, in the world, yeah, let's say for a moment, Facebook will give you eternal, yeah, happiness. Yeah. Then why do we keep going back to Facebook? We feel empty, right? After 1 hour of scrolling through the videos, the way they have set it up, once you click on a video, then it's never ending. It just goes on, on, on. Yeah, then why do we go on and on? Why do we say, no, stop, I don't want to do it anymore? So all of those things have not given us happiness. They have only made us more empty. Yes, no? Does everybody agree? Yeah. And if they have made me unhappy and empty for so long, how can I expect to keep doing the same thing and expect happiness, the different result? That is truly insanity. We are, the most, pardon me for saying it, but the most insane society ever. Last time I said the most addicted society ever, but the most insane society ever. We are at the peak of insanity. And so this is important for us to understand that, appreciate that, and now take the steps that are necessary to bring about a big change, a paradigm shift in the way we think, in the way we see, in the way we feel, the way we experience, and the way we then communicate and do what we need to do.
Yeah, we are actually bombarding ourselves with so much of information from the outside world, and how much our brain, our mind will take. So much overloading happening in our minds, and then people are going to the physicians and saying that I'm not able to sleep. There is so much anxiety, insomnia, depression, all these problems are increasing day by day, because what we are feeding to the mind is not right.
Yeah, see, it's just like if you eat a lot, then you'll have to work harder to digest it. Yeah, it takes energy to digest the food. Similarly, this information that you're taking so much, there is a lot of energy that's consumed in digesting it, trying to eliminate it, trying to bring it, to absorb it, and so on and so forth. And then we absorb it. So truly think of it, how much of the information that we have in the world out there is positive.
So there's some questions actually in the chat box. So I think we have a curious student here. The student asked that, so what did you actually end up doing? Did you eat your fruits, or you drank your coffee, or you ate your ice cream? Or is it all three?
Yeah, no, what I'm seeing is that when I'm more empty, yeah, if through the day I have not taken the effort, and Kanishta likes to talk about it in every session. I'm not sure whether last time she spoke about it, the traffic control, that we do in Brahma Kumaris. Yeah, Kanishta, do you want to talk about that? I know you love talking about it, and so then I'll come back to the question. I promise, whoever has asked the question, I promise I'll get back to that. Kanishta, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so throughout the day, it's very important to apply a brake, because see, our mind is like a highway and there's so many traffic of thoughts, right? Like I was telling you before, there's overloading happening here, traffic jam happening at the level of our mind. So it's important to just pause and give your mind a moment of silence. And in that moment, you connect to who you are and who God is. And it's like every hour for a minute. This is the practice that we do in Brahma Kumaris. We recharge ourselves in that moment. Just like, if you are in an office working hard, you want to refresh yourself, you want to re-energize yourself. So you take coffee, for example, coffee break or tea break. So this is like a silent break. And in that silent moment, we recharge ourselves, we conserve energy. And from that space, after 1 minute, when we come out, we feel really energized.
Yeah.
So it's It's very important to do this practice because it's so easy to drain ourselves because of the information that we keep collecting from the outside world.
True. You see, what happens is in the physical dimension of our existence, there's drainage of energy. In the spiritual dimension of existence, there is conservation of energy and recharging, regaining the energy. So constantly we're doing, we're doers, right? We're in the doing mode. We're not in the being mode. And what Kanisha is trying to say is that every now and then, when we go from the doing mode into the being mode, then the recharging happens and we feel full. And so what happens for me is, if I have not been careful through the day to do this, first of all, we also meditate very early in the morning. We the first thing in the morning, that's now even scientifically proven, that the first 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour should be in quiet contemplation, reflection, and so on and so forth. And they say that most successful CEOs, all those big leaders, quote unquote leaders, managers, whatever you want to say, all of them, sit for some time in quiet contemplation first thing in the morning. And so we do that, in Brahma Kumaris across the world. All the members, do sit in meditation early in the morning before we start our day and our routine. And so if I have done that very well, if throughout the day I've taken breaks very religiously, if you will, with some little bit of discipline, and I've done that, then when I come home, I'm so full. Then I can see the oranges, and my heart goes to the oranges and apples and kiwis and so on and so forth. Whereas on the other hand, if I have not, then coffee is the only thing that I can see.
I think that you sort of answered the second question that was in the chat box. They said that they're not clear as per the idea of how, they were asking why a beautiful fruit filled with color and smell and taste does not fulfill that emptiness like sugar and salt. That is still natural sugar in fruits. So there is still sugar in fruits, but why aren't we going towards that and going to some artificial fruit, or artificial snacks with sweetness? So I think that's what you have just clearly shared. It feels as if, I also would like to hear from you. Both are form of sugars. Why is one form of sugar not as attractive to the other form of sugar?
There is instant gratification that we want, when we are stuck in the physical dimension. These processed foods have sugar, refined sugars. Instantly hits our tongue, instantly hits our mucous membranes, gets absorbed, we get a sense of high. Fruits don't, they have to be broken down. So it takes time. So although there is sweetness in the tongue level a little bit, but really speaking, for that to create a high is not instantaneous as with processed sugars. And so that's the reason, many times, people get addicted to those. But again, you see, what Raj Yoga teaches us, that's why we're trying to come back to this Raj Yoga for everyone, for all the audiences, is that it teaches us how to align our lives with the true original nature of the soul, of how we need to live our lives, the true alignment of how God, if you will, or nature, or however you want to look at it, universe, has designed life to be. The more we align ourselves to that, you look at the ancient yogis, what time did they wake up? What time did they go to bed? What time they ate their meals? How many meals they ate? How much they ate? What they ate? What they did throughout the day? How much talking did they do? Did they go on Netflix? Did they have a Netflix binge? And did they have a Facebook binge again? No, you see. So when you have this kind of right kind of alignment, then that fullness begins to happen as well. So everything is together, and that's how Raj Yoga, Brahma Kumaris Raj Yoga, kind of tries to engender for all of us. Is on one hand, the stepping into the spiritual dimension of our existence, but also in the physical dimension of existence, living a balanced life, a life where it is aligned to how the spirit needs the body to work. You know?
And there's another question they asked, how do you encourage or how do you communicate this to a young adult or to a teenager?
Kanishka, that's for you. I'm sure you will love to answer that.
Yeah, it's not easy for teenagers, right? Because especially because they have the peer pressure, so they don't want to listen, and especially to their parents. So for the teenagers, it's important to, take time out and talk to them. It's very important to, because see, teenagers, they don't want to listen to us because they have their own views, their own opinions, their own belief systems. So it's important for us adults to sit with them and ask them, that whatever they're doing, what are they getting out of it? So it's important to have this conversation, with them and ask them what they want from life. What is life about? All these questions, they need to be asked and then see what they come up with.
So in other words, spending time communicating,
Yeah.
When,
Communicating
in a
well
way,
with them.
I like to say this is that, many times still parents say that, oh, my children don't listen to me. But I ask them, do you listen to yourself? Do you listen to the voice of God? What does God want you to do? To sit and collect money, more vacations, more this, more that? Or doesn't God want you to do something for the rest of mankind? Yeah, because we are so interconnected. So really speaking, we are not listening to ourselves. We are not listening to God. And so then why would anyone listen to us? Why would our children listen to us? The younger generation listen to us, right? And I was thinking, Kanisha, would you like to talk about mirror neurons here?
Yeah.
I know you
So-
introduced that aspect earlier.
Yeah, it's important for the parents to become role models. If they really want to teach their children something, they want to see what they are doing because of this concept of mirror neurons. Because we mirror each other's emotions, each other's feelings. This concept has come up recently, in actually 1990s. And what they have found that there are specialized group of nerve cells in our brain that get stimulated when we are connecting with others. So the feelings, the emotions that others are experiencing, we are able to experience the same. Very simple example is if somebody is smiling at you, what happens? We also smile back, right? So we begin to feel the happiness that person, the other person has created. So we are mirroring each other's feelings. So if the parent is empty from inside, is inadequate, so the same kind of feeling, children, they will also pick up the same kind of feeling. They are going to mirror. So the work has to be done by the parents, not by the kids. First, they have to take the initiative and they have to take measures to change themselves. And then they should focus on their children. But what happens most of the times, parents, they say that, we are good, we are
Kanisha, I think we've lost you. I think her internet has gone. So
Okay.
yeah. But
Okay.
let me take it from where Kanisha left off. And that's so true. If I am empty within, how can I bring fullness in others' minds and hearts? And so when we as the adults, quote unquote, the wiser people, right? And so how should we feel? What should we feel? What is the energy we should be creating within ourselves? We have to be responsible for that. So in a way, if think about it, and It may feel a little provocative for some, but I invite you to take it, in a what would you say? Yeah, as easily as possible. That if somebody in my family, your family, our family is addicted, yeah, again, why is he addicted? Because there's some emptiness, some void in that person. Could that void, that emptiness, be a mirror of our emptiness, our void? Yeah. Could we be responsible for that other person's addiction? Yeah.
I think in a
Maybe a
way
little painful. Yeah, maybe a little painful.
it is. I think in a way it is quite true, because if we look, especially parents or guardians, these days they work very hard, and sometimes kids, as they grow up, they do require a lot of attention from parents, from guardians, from their seniors, and when they don't get that attention, maybe because parents are working hard to support, financial support, or just parents have, they're going through probably their own issues or dilemmas, and so they're not able to be maybe physically or emotionally as much present for the child, and sometimes they just give ipad or phone to the child, when they go out, to keep them busy, so the parents don't get distracted. Sometimes they use it in the car, right? Don't make sound, or don't put a tantrum, just use the phone here. And I guess that eventually it becomes a learning or a habit in the child, and then eventually the child will have less and less communication with parents, and even when parents want to communicate with them, the child says, well, sorry, I'm busy. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So what Rajoga has taught me in the past 20 years is to look within for answers and to check within for the errors that I see around me. In a way, the universe mirrors what is going on within me. Yeah, the outer world is merely a reflection of my inner world. And so if my outer world is filled with addicted people, then maybe my inner world is a field where addiction grows. And so I have to fix myself before I try to fix others, if you will. So fixing of others has to happen through the fixing of the self. I have to figure it out for myself how I do that. Somewhere, sorry, Kanisha, you go ahead and then I'll answer, please.
Yeah, another thing that's very important to understand for the parents that that hand over the iPads or these gadgets to their children is that whatever children are seeing, they're watching the movies, the violence, that's what they mirror again. Because just like when we watch movie and we see somebody crying or some sad scene, so we also mirror the same thing. So what children are taking when they are watching those movies or whatever they're watching. So it's important for parents to understand that.
Exactly. So role playing, has to be there. If the parent says, what, child, enough of television, enough of screen time, go. And then as the children have gone to the room, the parent starts their television, their screen time starts. It doesn't work like that. And so think of it in a way, again, I am saying something really provocative, and pardon me for that if it feels uncomfortable, but think about it, all the violence that we're seeing out there. Could we be responsible for that too? We are watching all this, and sometimes it feels good. Wow, we're watching all this, gory stuff on television. And on the other hand, we are also encouraging, quote unquote, in a way, for children to do that because we don't want to spend time with them. And so then they start mirroring, and the whole universe starts mirroring that negativity. So we could be responsible, at least a little bit. So understand the responsibility, bring about the change. Sometimes when I liked what you said, that parents sometimes want to earn, but one is wanting to genuinely take care of the needs of the family, and the other is the wants. And there is no end to the wants. Raj Yoga also teaches us how to be minimalistic, how to live within our means. And when we want more and more and more, it's the peer pressure of cars and houses and BMWs and all that the adults go through. Then wouldn't the children also mirror that kind of peer pressure? And so it's important, as adults, to be responsible now.
There's another question. It says, what if nothing makes sense? What if nothing makes sense to the young adult and they are stubborn? Then what do you do?
Again, pardon me, but I asked this question to you, to whoever has asked this question. Do you listen to yourself? Are you receptive? The more receptive you are, they will mirror you. Now we have understood from science point of view to mirror neurons. You become receptive to your own change, to this paradigm shift in consciousness that's needed now more than ever before. Learn meditation yourself, connect to your inner being, connect to the highest source of energy, God, and see the transformation your family begins to have eventually. I want to say one very interesting thing that I always like to use that example. Say in the morning when you wake up and you look at yourself, your face in the mirror, and your hair is all disheveled, and what do? You have to go to work now. So you take a comb and you fix your hair. What happens to the image? The image gets fixed itself. Do you ever go into the mirror to fix the image? Have you ever done that? No. Similarly, here too, this world that we are living in, our home is also part of that world. You really can't fix it. That is merely an image of your inner world. You fix yourself, everything else will be fixed automatically. See, you look at a cat or even a baby. Baby doesn't have the understanding. It's physically, mentally immature. So it'll try to play with its image in the mirror. A cat will try to scratch with it, the image. A dog will start barking at it. And eventually, as the dog matures too, somewhere the dog understands it's just me, my image. But we somehow are so spiritually numb at this time that we don't understand this fundamental thing, that everything that we see around us is merely a mirror of our inner world. We cannot fix that outer world unless we fix the inner world.
I guess coming back to that aspect about how you were saying we can't fix the child or we can't fix others, we have to fix ourselves. I think one very, very big form of fixing ourselves is going to that space of understanding them rather than advising or correcting. Because the fact that they could be having those habits, probably I have not heard, heard meaning I probably have not understood the need of them, what is truly their need. And when I'm able to understand them, then I wouldn't really pinpoint and say, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is not helpful, because they're trying to receive something. And if I can do it without probably correcting them, then eventually they will learn and give it up themselves. And I'll just give you one example. One of the students shared with the phone. She has a teenage daughter and she's very hooked up with PlayStation. And as a mother, she was just feeling uncomfortable looking her daughter always in computer or chatting or playing. So she just told her daughter, let's go for a walk. And she was very resistant. The daughter said, no, I don't want to go for a walk. I just want to be at home. And then the mother forced her, no, we are going for a walk. Let's go. So the whole way, when they were walking, the daughter was complaining this and that. And then I think eventually, she was saying that eventually that she enjoyed. She said, wow, it's not, it's actually, it's quite good. It feels nice to take this breeze. And then she told her mom, I think we should do this more often. So I guess if just looking at that picture again, looking at that scenario, I think if the mother, if she had gotten upset when the daughter was very resistant, and if she were to try to advise, what you're doing is not good and this and that, and if she were to pinpoint, and you've been doing this the whole day, what are you achieving, if the mother were to just lose it, right, feeling that the daughter needs to learn, I need to teach her, I need to tell her, I don't think the daughter would have agreed. Maybe she would have even become more stubborn. But the mother said, it's okay, you can come back and play. Let's just go for a walk first. Later you can come back and do whatever you need to do. And maybe she, sort of like she also gave in, and then she made the daughter to feel how it feels like. This sort of encouraging, not saying that what you're doing is not healthy, but just let's just, and after that you can come back and do whatever you need to do. Then that sort of, the daughter probably would have felt that she is now having a freedom to do what she wants, and maybe okay, I can go back. And then along the way, I think that experience made her feel, oh, this is not bad, right? So I guess it's just the way of tackling the subject, or just the way of approaching the child, not in a very defensive, or not as a sort of a parent, but I think people these days, they want friend.
Sure. So
Approachable.
parenting is an art. Parenting is an art. And, again, going back to how do you parent yourself? If you parent yourself right, then you will parent your child right too.
And connection with the self, like you said, that's very important. And as you were sharing that this story of this girl and mom, I was thinking that this is actually, listening is an act of compassion, and this energy of compassion we can generate when we connect with the being that we are, right? So that's why this connection with the being is important. When we connect with the being, then we will get that insights, that what I need to do in this particular situation. If this child is not listening to me, so what things do I need to really use, the tools that I really need to use, so that I can help this child, not force, but lovingly, with compassion, with respect. All the qualities, they are all in the core, at the core of our being. So when we start interacting with others from that space, that's beautiful space, the still space, then it is very easy. Everything around us starts to become very easy. We don't have to then struggle. You start to enjoy. You don't see the problem as a problem, but you see the problem as a game, and you start to enjoy life.
So I guess coming back in the essence, brother, you want to share something?
No, I just want to say beautiful. That really, I loved it. This aspect of clarity is like water in a bowl. If water is clear and it's still, stillness. I heard you say the word still, and I'm not sure did you use the word clear, Kanishka? Maybe clear as well, right? So clarity and stillness, and then you can see the bottom of the bowl. So what I need to speak at every moment, to get my child to understand, to my family member who's not understanding to understand what I need to do in every moment, the clarity begins to come. That's where this effortless effort, has, like water, like nature. You see, look at nature around, around you, around me. I like to look at it, and I see nature doesn't hurry. Nature doesn't force itself on anything or anyone, but yet it is able to accomplish everything. But this is a saying. This is a quote from Tao Te Ching, actually, the great Chinese philosopher who created this whole thing, Lao Tzu. That nature accomplishes everything, yet it's never in a hurry. So how can I really live a life like that, where I I am making effort, but it's not really effort. It's not like hard work. It's not like labor. We're not laboring through life, but we're coming from that space of clarity, the clean space, that pure space, that sacred space. Everything becomes easy.
So I guess as I think really the fundamental essence what you're sharing is parents do play a very huge role. Whether it's parents, whether it's grandparents, they do play a big role in influencing people who live with them, whether it's spouse or whether they're children. So I guess the fundamental aspect, what is being shared today, is that taking that time out and really giving the time for me. And I think that's really not a form of selfishness. I think it's a form of self respect, right? Having more introspection, having more time for me to understand. It's also a skill. It's also a skill of meditation, power of introspection and just understanding myself and how can I work with myself, because really I can be advancing myself, and through my advancement I'm actually advancing my family, right? I can actually, whether I am doing it consciously or unconsciously, but really when I am progressing, I'm actually bringing the entire team with me moving forward, right? And some, I think, coming, maybe I'm not sure if it's an Asian culture, but sometimes we are probably trained to think that you shouldn't think too much about yourself. It's narcissism. But here in spirituality, it is saying you're absolutely needed to first tune in here and just be who you are, right? And that's also a form of self-respect.
Thinking about the physical aspect of our existence is narcissism. Thinking about the spiritual aspect of our being is not narcissism. So yeah, that aspect is definitely narcissism.
So does anyone have any questions? I mean, we have answered probably all your questions that was in the chat box. Is there anything else anyone has in mind?
So I just wanted to ask, so as we say that man is a social animal and there are emotional and spiritual needs of the person, the spiritual is dealt as Dr. Kanishta just said, that, we can think of God as an ocean of love, happiness, and we do give our time, puja time, morning, praying to God that, we had a nice night. In the evening, we do have our times when we pay gratitude to God for what he or she has given us. But the emotional part is where the man wants to be connected to the world and has to be in connection with the social media. Where do we draw a line that, okay, now it is an addiction, let's just do maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes? How do we draw a line that it's becoming a way too much, the social media? How do we put a stop to it, or maybe confine ourselves to the time zone?
Yeah, see, think of it again. See, what we sometimes do, we compartmentalize all this, in a way it's good to do it too. But now, spiritual actually is a self-containing term. It is an all-encompassing term at the same time. It has all of our physical, mental, emotional, social needs all bunched together in that spirituality that Kanishta was talking about, that we are talking about, Vinu Ben was talking about too. So that spirituality, that when I am connected to the Supreme Being, to the true self that I am, and to the true energy of the whole universe, God himself, then all my needs are met. When I'm saying that my spiritual needs are met, all the needs are met. My emotionality also gets expressed and fulfilled in this communication or communion with God. So what happens is all my emotional needs, if they are met through God, then I won't need my emotional needs to be met by things around me. So I go, now this might sound little out of the world, it's a different paradigm, but take a moment to understand this. And as many of you are doing the Raj Yoga course with Vinu Ben, you will understand this more as time goes on, that then we shift from being a consumer, beggar of other people's likes, if you will, emotions, that my emotional need hopefully will be met by this person. Oh, I didn't get met here, so maybe this one friend may help me, or this Facebook or this Instagram or this may fulfill my emotional need. And we keep going from one to the other. But rather than that, if you connect it to God, then all our needs will be fulfilled. So we go from being beggar to a contributor, to a giver. We are already so full. So you see, now a beggar cannot help anyone else, right? Can a beggar make someone else wealthy? No. So if you are begging for emotions, you are emotionally empty, you cannot fulfill other people's emotions. But if your emotions are met through your connection with God, then you can fulfill other people's emotions. Make sense?
Okay. Thank you.
It's truly deep. I'm sure it is making sense. I'm sure the shift is happening a little bit.
Yes.
So anyone has any other questions you'd like to ask?
I wanted to ask about the physical dependence part of the tea and coffee. That definitely the receptors are there in the brain, so that when the receptors are empty, is where because the molecules, as I understand, of the caffeine molecules simulate the molecules of the ATP, which is an energy. Being a doctor, I can relate, and I'm sure you can relate. So that ATP molecules are right. So can we? So when they run out, then our energy receptors, when those receptors are empty, when the caffeine runs off, then energy is drained into those receptors, draining your energy. And that's totally physical.
I got your question. That's lovely. Yeah. But you see, how did they get sensitized? If you understand, they got sensitized
by doing it repeatedly.
Correct. So you can desensitize it by doing it repeatedly. What? By not drinking it repeatedly.
Correct.
So that's, and Kanishta, you like to talk about the inner pharmacy that we have, right? So yeah, you want to answer that part?
Yeah, we can say that we have this inner pharmacy. We can manufacture any chemical, whatever we want. Like the other day, last session, I was talking about these painkillers. Endorphins, right? So we have this capacity to generate our own inner morphines. We don't have to be dependent on the outside painkillers, morphines to help us, with the pain.
Yes, similarly dopamine, similarly serotonin, similarly norepinephrine.
Yeah. So that's one of the physical reasons.
So many chemicals, right? We all.
I know. So my point was that I'm with you, but the physical dependency is not gone until you quit. And for quitting, you need to fill the emptiness. Is that what you say?
Correct. Thank you.
90% of the Indian population drink tea. I have never tasted in my life. So I'm not from somebody who has ever, I don't drink tea, nor do I drink coffee. I don't drink any sodas. So I don't have that habit. But physically, that's what 90% of the population does in India. And it's considered norm.
Right. So I'm not trying to say that now, from now onwards, don't drink tea, don't drink coffee, drink what you need to drink, whatever you want to do. But the dependence aspect has to be.
Can I add something here? Can I add?
Sure.
Because, okay, this is Rashmi. I was addicted to tea and coffee all my life. But lately, for a couple of months, I haven't been having coffee or tea. And the how I quit is because I started drinking lemon water with the honey, because honey is also awakening all the inner organs, which the tea was doing. That's one. Number two, I'm making a veggie juice not juice, veggie, just blend all like pineapple, celery, and
Smoothie.
beetroot, carrots. And it gives me so much energy. It's unbelievable. More because coffee, when you drink, after 3-4 hours, you're tired. You need another cup. But with this,
Exactly.
you don't need it. So this is my personal experience, and I think this can work. If it works for me, it can work for
Right.
anyone.
See,
Thanks.
exactly. See, at the physical level, you've been able to do that. That smoothie gave you that sense of fullness. So now automatically you don't need it. It's not that it has to be pulled away from you. You don't have to hurt yourself. No, I won't drink coffee. You don't have to handcuff yourself, throw the coffee in the garbage. No, it automatically leaves you. So
Right.
similarly, that's
It's like
what we
replacing
try
a
to.
harmful toy in child's hand.
What's that?
Replacing a harmful toy from the child's hand to another toy.
Sure, sure. But the
Right.
most harmless or the most beneficial thing in this whole universe is this connection with the Supreme. And once you have that totally full connection, complete connection, and you feel full, you just don't need anything else.
Exactly.
All these dependencies automatically go away.
Yes.
And I want to say this, I don't know how much time we have, as we're pretty much getting close to the end, but really want to emphasize, and maybe hopefully let this as be the last parting, sort of message, that, one of the important ways of feeling fullness is when we serve others, and
Yes.
which I was talking about. Somebody said, yeah, I guess, right? So
Yes, because I'm right. Sadhana,
and
and I was telling you, seva and sadhana, that really helps.
yes. But you see, for a little bit, now I invite you to think, if you are addicted, or say if you see a family member, a loved one who's also addicted, or is addicted, either ways. But there could be other people in the world, right, who are addicted. No kidding, right? Yeah, there are many more people who are suffering just like you. There are many more people who are suffering because of the relationships with their family members who are addicted. And there are many more people who are addicted like your family member. So there is universal suffering right now, right? We are concerned about our addiction. We are concerned about the addiction of our loved one. But what about the others? So for a little bit, I just invite you to think one thought, a positive thought, a pure thought, that everyone around you in the entire world, yeah, not just the ones who are connected to you, but not just you, everyone on this planet who is addicted, may they also
Quit.
find freedom from addiction. Yes, quit or find freedom, are liberated. We talk about this land is a land of liberty. We're living in a free land, but truly there is no freedom. We are bound by our own addictions. But these bondages don't allow us to experience the joy of life. So each one is bound by their own addictions. So let each one be liberated.
Positive affirmation.
Yeah. But more than that, it's much more than positive affirmation. It is that there is this feeling in the heart of compassion for every other human being on this planet. Yeah, take a moment to digest that. Take a moment to absorb that. Somebody was saying something. Sorry, Kanishta. Were you saying something? Somebody, I heard a voice. No, okay, but really take a moment to think. If you understand that I am because you are, I am because we are. We are all part of one universe. So think of it, if my neighbor is unhappy, if somebody in another part of the world is unhappy, we're all connected. So how can I be happy? And that's why you're not happy. You care about yourself. We care about ourselves. For a little bit, step out of yourself and just think for the whole of the world. How can I serve the whole of humanity? how can I at least create? I don't have to go out to Sudan to try to help them or to Syria to do. Just can I right now, sitting here while I'm listening, create a positive thought of healing for the whole of humanity?
So I think just touching on what you said is when we actually live with purpose, then I don't think we'll be easily influenced.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Basically.
That's the basic is, and I think to live with purpose is first we need to embrace I am as I am. You know, there's a saying that I am me, and that is my power. I
Yeah.
am me as I am, and that is why I'm unique, and that is why I'm powerful. And I think I remember the scientist that became a prime minister in India, Abdul Kalam. I remember he said, the president of India, and I think he said that every day he asked himself, what can I do today for others? And it's also the fact to even be able to think, what can I do for others? It can only come from a state of fulfillment. If not, it will end up becoming a pleasing attitude. So really connecting with the self, connecting with the supreme power, drawing that energy, filling myself, then I can actually live a life of purpose because I have so much to give. I actually am able to share more, and that sharing will come from a very genuine state. And I think that also increases hormones, good hormones, happy hormones from the brain. And in fact, from my personal experience, what I have had, that whenever I have very good meditation, I actually feel very light and less craving. And, you know, even if I'm not hungry or even if I'm not eating something, I don't feel sleepy. I'm actually feeling very light. So, cravings of any form, whether it's a real food or whether it's snacks, I don't see myself going towards it. I just want to feel that lightness a little longer. And even if I'm eating some food, I'm not eating because I'm like hungry, just the right enough amount that's needed for the body for fuel. And I think it's really a state of feeling full. And that's what brother was saying, that when here there is fullness, then there is no desire of seeking, but we will end up being in the mode of giving without any expectations. Right, brother? That's really a life of
Absolutely.
purpose.
Thank you very much. That was a
Right?
beautiful recap. I just want to say one short sentence. Like Mother Teresa said, that we many times can't do big things, but we can do small things with big love. So at least, do small things and create big love in your heart. And from that genuine space.
And they say that when you come to the serving, that's a seva, when you have to have a gyan, dhyan, dharana, and then seva. If it is done directly, seva, and if dharana is not done, which is an implementation on ourselves, we can have ahankar, sukshma ahankar, all those different problems or conflicts in the seva too. That somebody got more credit than I did while sevaing, and all those different things can happen even in seva. So until those three are fulfilled first before we even do the seva. So Gyan is, of course, talking to you guys right now. And then the Dhyan is what you're saying is meditation and connecting with the God. Then fulfilling yourself first and then go and try to do the seva. Is that how am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, beautiful.
100%.
That's why we say that the foundation of Raja Yoga meditation is soul consciousness. That's the Gyan, that's the understanding. Who am I? So from that space, we need to connect to the divine energy and then to everyone else. Fill ourselves with, all the energy and then share it with others.
So since we have understood that...
I just want to say one more thing, everyone. For traffic control, there's an app called B Zone. So I put an alarm every hour. It reminds me, and I just do 1 minute just to the silent my mind, and it has a music on it. So people who want to do traffic control, the apps is called B Zone. Thank you.
V for Vinoben.
B double E Z O N.
B for boy.
like a
Yes.
bee that is very busy. So bee.
Yes,
Be like
B
honey,
zone.
be
Zone.
like
Yes.
honey.
Yes.
Yes.
No, actually, very quickly, this is Shaila. If you do it repeatedly through the day, on the top of the hour, on the top of the hour, 12, 1, 2, you train your mind to automatically have your own internal alarm to stop and to take that moment to reset yourself, to be one in tune with nature. It goes a very long way.
Yeah.
So again, so we can, the habit forms very fast. Otherwise, we are creating a new habit with an app. The app has already been given to us by the good Lord. We came with an app. And it's a beautiful one. Let's use it. It's internal. Thank you.
But initially, to tap into that internal power, you may need a little help of external until it becomes helpful. Like we set an alarm at say 5 o'clock in the morning. After a while, you don't need to even, you may wake up before alarm.
That's true.
So now we will get some external help to go internal. So Kanishtaben will be the external support system for us. She's going to take us to an internal journey. We're going to finish with meditation, and then we will end the session quietly once the meditation is over. And if you have any other questions, you can let me know. You can text me or email me, and we'll make sure your questions are answered. Okay, Kanishtaben, you are. So I'm going to put the screen.
So let's together start this beautiful journey using the power of introspection. Gently take the journey inwards. And remind yourself who you truly are. A being of light. A tiny spark of energy. Life force. In this inner space of silence, feel the inner power of peace. Create this powerful thought in your mind that I am a being of peace. And allow yourself to experience the deep inner peace. Connecting with the inner being that you are. And from here, let's take the journey upwards into that space where the ultimate energy resides, the ocean of peace, the ocean of light, the Supreme Being, the Father of the soul. Feel the closeness with this divine energy. Such a beautiful meeting with God. This is the time to fill yourself with His divine powers. So allow yourself to absorb His pure energy that makes the soul full. To such an extent that you now are ready to give. So take the journey outwards and see yourself sharing the energy of peace, love, happiness with other fellow beings, brothers and sisters around the globe who are feeling very inadequate, trapped, and addicted to many different things. And you are sending God's love to these souls. And your energy is spreading far and wide, creating a beautiful, peaceful, powerful world. Oh, Shanti.